I start sharing, I do want to one, thank everybody for jumping in today. We have a interesting presentation. Just given we want your feedback, and we want this to be um, allow you to ask questions throughout the session. So feel free, if you do have questions, make sure that you are asking those throughout. Um, and we want you to get the most out of this that you can. So as I try to navigate here and share my screen, give me a second. But yes, if you can share where you are calling in from and what program you are in or you completed from WGU. Let me know if everybody can see my screen, and
I
I'm going
see
to
the
share.
website. Yeah, you're good.
Perfect.
Hmm.
Awesome. So my name is RJ Panesi. I work in our career and professional development office here at WGU. I am joined by my colleague, Krista McKnight, who is going to be on monitoring the chat, chiming in where she wants to drop some knowledge on you all. But we have a session here ahead of us where we're focusing on healthcare and IT and thinking outside the box, and that's ultimately what we want this session to be. Is we want to make sure that you all are taking full advantage of all the things that we have to offer here at WGU, but not just here at WGU, but out there as you kind of navigate the job search process, which can be a grueling process. We fully recognize that. So as I mentioned, my name is RJ. My background is in career advising, and now what I do here at WGU is I work on our employer engagement team. So I work with employers that are interested in recruiting our WGU students and alumni, and we offer up different sessions. So right now we have Career Quest going on. It's the remainder of this week and then into early next week. So with my team, our responsibility is connecting with those employers and getting them to come in and connect with you all and give you all an opportunity to chat with them on different opportunities. Hank was going to be partnering with me on this, but unfortunately he had a family emergency, so we're just going to take it home without him. But we want you to be able to ask questions, chime in where you'd like, so feel free to do that in the chat. Kristen did mention the session is being recorded. That recording will be sent out either today or tomorrow morning, so keep an eye out for that. We'll also attach a survey to that, so we certainly value your opinion as students and alumni here at WGU, and want to make sure that we take your opinions into consideration as we kind of start planning for future events. So that's really where this session came from, and a few of our sessions. So one thing that we'll ask is, what are the types of employers that you ultimately might be interested in connecting with and learning from, and we'll certainly try to work with them and get connected. But as we kind of move forward, some different things that we want you to think about as you're going through the job search strategy. And I'll start off by just saying, as you are going through the job search process, I'd mentioned it is certainly a grueling process, but I usually use the comparison, it's almost like building a house. If you're utilizing one tool to build a house, it's going to take you some time. Now, eventually you will get a house built, but if you have more tools in your tool belt, certainly will get through that quicker. So that's what we want to make sure is you're utilizing a variety of different tools and different ways of thinking as you're going through this job search process to ultimately get you to that end goal of landing a new position. So that's something that we want you to to consider as you're going through this process. But first thing I wanted to touch on are different job titles. So as you're going through, if you're searching for a set job, make sure you're keeping track of what are some different job titles that you're searching for. If you're only using one job title as you're going through and doing the search, you're not getting the most out of that search. You might have two jobs, the same exact job titles, but the job descriptions are completely different and vary depending on the company or organization. And then vice versa with that. You might have two job titles that are completely different, but they're the same exact job. So usually what we'll recommend is, hey, keeping a running list of different job titles as you're going through and searching and looking at different jobs. What are some jobs that really pique your interest when you do read through that job description, and saving that job title and using that as you go through that search. So that's something, make sure that you're going through and taking a look at what are some different job titles. And again, that might vary depending on the type of industry, which will really dive into thinking outside the box. You'll hear us talk about Handshake quite a bit. If you're not familiar with Handshake, which we all should be, Handshake is our career platform that we utilize here at WGU. As you're going through and searching for jobs, Handshake is a great tool to go ahead and do that. Again, not the only tool that you should be utilizing, but one cool feature which I can show you once we get towards the end of this session, but using Handshake collections. To go through and search for different jobs. Maybe you're looking for internship opportunities. You can take a look and see what are some great organizations that offer internships that we have connected with here at WGU. Or maybe you're thinking, all right, I wonder what type of opportunities might be out there of past organizations that we've already had come in and present during our Career Quest months. You can go back through and do a search for that. So that's a great tool to be able to go through and do that. The next is utilizing your professional network. And a lot of times what we hear from individuals is, how do I build out my network? Two great tools that we recommend, UConnect and LinkedIn. Kristen, I don't know if you wanted to chime in on the UConnect piece. I know that's a huge aspect of something that you've been working on. If you wanted to just kind of share, like, what is UConnect? How can individuals capitalize on utilizing that platform?
Absolutely. And so everybody should now have access to WGU Connect, is the name. And I'll put a link here in the chat. Let me copy and paste it. So you should all have access with single sign-on, whether you're a student or an alum. Um, it's where, if you've seen maybe in your course of study or in some of your courses, now they're linking you there for all of your course resources. They're linking you there for a course community. We should have those in almost every course. So if you've been looking at your course, you might have noticed it there. There's also communities for alumni, as well as our team has a community there just called Career and Professional Development. So it's a great place. You can go in, you can post a question to any of your your fellow groups of students or alumni, whether it's in the alumni group or if you're in a course and it's more related to your program or your major, and you want to ask a question of those students, you can ask it there. You can always ask in our group as well. And it's just a good place for you to reach out and start to get to know some different people who are here at WGU, even though they might not be physically very close to you. You can also go through and search through all of the users on the platform. You can search through all of the users in any particular community. So there's a lot of different ways that you can find people who might be a good person for you to reach out to. Even on the job board, any job that you see is going to have a person who's either worked at that company before or who has worked in a similar role before. So it's really built to help you find new people for your network, is what that entire platform is all about. So highly recommend using it. I put the link in the chat, and we'll be sure to include that in the email that goes out with the recording as well. But it's a really, really cool tool and something that's pretty new. So not everybody's taking full advantage of it yet. So highly recommend. Again, just another tool in your tool belt for you.
And that's something where I would just say, take advantage of this WGU community that we have here. A lot of us get into this mindset of, okay, I'm attending WGU to get my degree, and that is the only thing that you're focusing on, where in reality, you are now joining this WGU community where it's an opportunity to really build out. We have over 194,000 active students nationwide here at WGU, and we're slowly approaching 400,000 alumni across the country. So taking advantage, and now you have access as a WGU student or an alum to that network. So make sure you're utilizing that WGU community. LinkedIn, fantastic tool. Making sure that you build out your profile completely via LinkedIn. I know our career advising team does workshops on building out your profile. You can work with a career advisor on, hey, what are some things I should incorporate if you're unsure of what to include in a LinkedIn profile. But the importance of networking, I can't stress that enough. A couple months ago, we did a session where we had a panel discussion, and it was an IT-driven panel. And the moderator asked the question, what was the interview process like for the role that you're currently in? And all of the panelists that were participating had to disclose, well, I didn't go through an interview. All of them bypassed the interview. And that was because they had landed that job just through their professional network. So that's something where there's a large percentage of jobs. I don't remember, what is it, 80% now, where somewhere in that ballpark, it's constantly changing, of people that the job that they're currently in, they landed just from their professional network, and it wasn't through going through a job board and applying. So we can't stress that enough, is the importance of networking. And if it's something that you're, hey, I'm not really comfortable with it, set goals for yourself. Hey, I'm going to connect with 3 people this month, and start small. And as you kind of go through, grow that. And certainly, being at WGU is a great way to kind of segue into connecting with somebody if they are an alum or an active student.
Another easy way to do that, I'm just going to butt in here real
Yes,
quick, is
please.
through Ask a Grad. So if you haven't heard about Ask a Grad, I'll put that link in the chat too. And of course, we'll send it out. But if you follow that link, it's a really easy to use platform. There's a button on that homepage that says Ask a Question. You can go in, you type in your question, you include your information like your like the school that you are enrolled in or were enrolled in, your class year, all of that information, and then you type up your question. And the AI that powers Ask a Grad then matches your question to WGU alumni who it thinks can best answer the question that you had. So it is really, really cool. And students are getting responses from alumni, and a lot of them are like, here's my phone number, please, contact me if you have additional questions, or I'd love to meet up, I'm in this area if you're looking for a job in Fort Lauderdale, right? So it has been a really awesome tool that is not being, in my opinion, fully utilized. So definitely, if you're a student, if you're an alum, feel free to take advantage of Ask a Grad, because people they want to share their experience, right? They want to share their knowledge with other students and alumni. So it's going to pull from our alumni to get you the answers to the questions that you have. So that's another cool, and like I said, I think underutilized tool that we now have here at WGU.
Yeah, and I think just being able to pick the brain of somebody that's gone through a similar type of experience, like you really like to get that outside of this, it can be difficult sometimes. So utilizing that platform to just really pick the brain of somebody, like you definitely try to take advantage of that if you're able to. Um, and then the last thing on this slide that we ultimately want to propose to those in attendance, you know, as you go through and you're looking and maybe there are certain employers that you're interested in, set up those job alerts. There's different ways on LinkedIn, in Handshake, where you can set up alerts for specific employers. But we'd also love to hear like, hey, what are some employers that you might be interested in connecting with? And if there's a way that maybe we can potentially connect with those employers and bring them in for sessions, that's something that we would love to try to do. So in the chat, like if you had specific employers that you are looking at that you're interested in, we'd love to hear from you. And then also if there's specific types of presentations that might interest you. I know this session in particular was something that was brought up just through feedback. So again, like we're constantly trying to tailor what we're doing towards our students and alumni, because that's the ultimate goal here, is to help you the best way that we can move to that next step in your career, whether that is landing your first job, maybe it's advancing in your career, landing a more senior level role, transitioning into a new career. We want to make sure that we're putting different resources for you out there, different tools, as we've mentioned, for you to utilize to go through that. So certainly feel free to post those into the chat, and we'll see if there's opportunity there in the future for one of our future Career Quest months as we kind of move forward here. The next one, just throwing it out there, will be in the fall, so that's September. So keep an eye out for those. We also have some different sessions throughout the summer that certainly we'd want you to take advantage of. We have a week coming up where we're going to focus on remote and hybrid working environments. So that's one, keep an eye out for that. And then we have an internship week in July. So certainly opportunity to learn about some different things going on. So certainly take advantage of those. You can register for all of those through Handshake. So as we go through here, looking at healthcare. So for those of us that might have a healthcare background, or you're pursuing a healthcare degree, we wanted to just touch on a few different things for you really to think about as you go through the job search process. So we want to, as you're adding more tools to your tool chest, adding in some different technology to administrative functions. So utilizing AI. So that's a buzzword right now that really gets everybody excited, or maybe it makes you nervous. But utilizing that in your workplace, if you're able to, you could also use that for your job search. So even taking your resume and putting that through AI to match with a specific job description. That's something where if you're applying for jobs, there's a good chance that your resume is going to go through an applicant tracking system. So that's a great way to kind of mirror your resume to that specific job description. So something to take advantage of as you're going through, but also just being comfortable with using that. I know there's different LinkedIn courses that you can take if you're new to using AI and taking advantage of that. But that's something where we want you to lean into technology, because we're moving in that direction where it is going to become more prevalent in across all industries. So something to be comfortable with. The next one thing that we've seen, and we get this a lot from students and alums as they're in the sessions, what type of remote opportunities does this specific employer have? And rightfully so, like, with attending school remotely, it's going to be a question that generally pops up. One, area that maybe you haven't thought about, but telehealth opportunities. Right now in LinkedIn, there's just under 4,000 positions available with telehealth. it's something where, and that's not only just entry level positions, but positions that require some healthcare experience, and that's from patient consultations to remote monitoring. Um, Telehealth has become a vital part of health in the healthcare administration. So allowing healthcare organizations to meet growing demands for patients, that's an opportunity where, hey, I am looking for remote work. That might be an opportunity there. Now, with that, you might have to be located in a specific general area. It is a remote job, but you might need to be located in a specific state. So that's something where, if you haven't thought about that and you are looking for remote opportunities, that might be something to take a look at and see. And if you're unsure if that might be a good fit for you, utilizing again, this WGU network, take a look and see if we have anybody actively working in that type of role, and ask, hey, do you mind if we jump on a call, or if it is local to you, maybe grab a coffee and pick their brain a little bit. What does the day-to-day look like for you? Are you still engaged in your day-to-day work? Is it something that excites you? So some different questions that you could potentially ask and see if that, hey, this might be an opportunity for me. I know, my one of my cousins is an RN, and she she has young kids, and she ended up shifting gears into a telehealth role just so she could get her kids off the bus every day. So that's something where, depending on where you are in your life and what some priorities might be, hey, that might be an opportunity to think about. Also looking at different opportunities outside of the hospital. So, looking at different roles, maybe it's long-term care facilities, community health organizations, home health, different nonprofits. We want to make sure that you're looking at opportunities not just focusing on working in a hospital setting, but also looking at a broader range of opportunities, and they're certainly there. So want to just bring some of those things up as you're kind of going through and looking at job opportunities. We don't want you to just use the filter and focus on one set area. Be open to some different opportunities. You never know, it might be a good fit for where you are at in your career, and then you could potentially grow into that organization into future roles. The next piece to this is, what is the state of hiring in healthcare? I know for us in employer engagement, we're constantly talking to healthcare providers, and they are saying, please send us people. They have a ton of different opportunities, and that's not just bedside either. Like there's certainly opportunities outside of those bedside type roles. There's a 28% increase over the next, or NACE projects a 28% increase over the next year as far as healthcare administration roles. So that's something, hey, if you're looking to get into those types of roles, there's certainly going to be opportunities there. And why is that the case? With this growth is driven by aging population, increased prevalence in chronic diseases, ongoing implementation of health-related policies. So there's going to be a ton of opportunities coming down the pipeline. I would just tell you, like, hey, keep an open mind and take a look at some different opportunities as we've touched on. And then approximately 61,000 medical and health service manager positions are expected to open up each year. So again, there's opportunities there. So taking a look at different organizations where you might have the opportunity to grow into some different roles. Exploring some different jobs. So we wanted to just bring up, hey, here are some different roles that we've seen pop up on LinkedIn, in Handshake. So just to kind of give you an idea of what are some different job titles that you might be able to focus on and search through. And if you're unsure about some of these, I would just say, hey, listen, take these and search and read through the job descriptions. Like, I can't stress that enough, is taking a deeper dive into some different job descriptions to see, is this something that you could see yourself doing? And then again, utilizing that professional network to reach out to individuals that might be in those potential roles. And then also, if you're looking to get, and this is, farther down the line as far as your career outlook, if there's a specific position that you foresee yourself, looking to move into, again, utilize our alumni network. Look and see if we have anybody in that role now and reach out to them. How did they get to that point? What are some jobs that maybe they did along the way to help them grow into that leadership role? And see what type of path they took. If they have any advice for you, maybe they say, hey, listen, like, I see you're in this role now. I would try to move into this role. This is something that you might be able to gain a ton of different skills that might help you later on get to that leadership position. So something, again, utilizing our alumni network to be able to do that, and pick the brain of individuals that have gone through a similar type of path that you foresee yourself moving towards. So something that we want you to keep in mind as you kind of go through and look for different opportunities. So from here, I'm actually going to shift over. So that was our healthcare portion of this, and why we kind of paired these two together. I'll dive into that in a second. But with IT, we want some things that we really want you to think about is who is actively hiring right now. So as you go through, and I'll touch on some different organizations that are actively hiring for roles. But we want you to think outside the box a little bit and not just be focused solely on, all right, I want to go work for, your bigger IT company, Amazon, Microsoft, like those. And again, those do have opportunities, but we are seeing those organizations do large layoffs. And so if you're looking for something, hey, I know this is going to be stable moving forward. We want to touch on those and thinking outside the box for that. Being able to market yourself. So especially in IT, if you're going through one of our IT programs here at WGU, you're gaining these professional certifications. Like, those should be up at the top of your resume. Like, highlight those. As we talk to employers, like, that's an added bonus that we usually throw in there and say, listen, like, if you're recruiting a WGU student, they're graduating with these professional certifications. And that's usually something that gets their eyes, opened wide, their ears perked up a little bit. Oh, like, I didn't realize that, you all are graduating with these professional certifications. Make those prevalent, LinkedIn and on your resume, highlighting different projects that you might work on. Being able to speak on, hey, I did this project. This project applies to this specific job that I'm applying for, and being able to market yourself that way. And then again, like, building out that professional network, cannot stress that enough. We have a number of different clubs here at WGU. So like Cyber Club, for example, is a great one. Women in Tech. So joining some different clubs that we offer here at WGU, again, like that could really grow your professional network. I know those clubs do some great sessions where they invite in industry professionals to come in and speak, and that's a great opportunity to pick the brain of somebody that's living through and working in the industry. But also, taking a look, like, we try to host those here in CPD and bring in professionals to shed light, and industry insights is what we ultimately call them. So taking advantage of those different networks to help you as you kind of build out this professional network of yours. Some different trends that we are seeing, and I don't think I'm surprising anybody with this, but especially with IT, like, we are certainly seeing some ups and downs in terms of opportunities. So some of these larger companies continue to do these layoffs, but as they're doing those layoffs, they still do have opportunities. A lot of those opportunities are entry-level opportunities. So we're certainly not saying, hey, don't go and apply for those organizations, but just something to think about as you're kind of looking through. We are seeing more opportunities in AI, cyber, and cloud. So if you're in any of those degree programs, something as you're going through those, there are those opportunities out there. And then here are some of the larger companies that have done some major layoffs. So really just want to, hey, be aware of this as you're going through and searching for different opportunities. If you're looking to land a position where that job security means a lot to you, like, hey, maybe working for one of these larger companies might not fit that, just given how many layoffs they have done. But some other opportunities that we would certainly want you to think about. I'm going to bring up two, and the reason why we paired these two together, especially in IT roles in healthcare, there are a ton of opportunities, and it's something where I would tell you, like, be open-minded. Some of these larger healthcare providers are hiring, and they are hiring for a variety of different roles, whether that software engineer, compliance, analytics, cyber, network and system administrator. So that's something where, hey, like, keep in mind, like, there are other opportunities than just working for an IT specific organization. So healthcare being one, that kind of gives you an idea of what type of job opportunities there are right now on LinkedIn. And then the other industry I would say, hey, like, there's certainly a lot of opportunities is in financial. So you'll see some of those larger organizations, especially like software, over 11,000 active jobs right now in the financial industries with IT-driven roles in software, cyber, and data. So there's opportunities out there, as you kind of go through your program and you're looking for different organizations. Like, we would just say, like, make sure that you're taking all things into consideration. There's opportunity here, one, for growth, but two, to gain experience. Like, if you envision yourself getting to a certain position, you're going to need experience to do so. And here are some great opportunities to really gain experience, and hopefully get you to where you're looking to get to. Here are just some roles that you can use as you're searching through, and again, reading through the job descriptions. Is this something that I see myself working in this type of role? And then again, like, connecting with individuals that are working in that field to see if it is a good fit for you, and pick their brain and see how did they get to that position. As we bring in different employers to come in and speak, or industry professionals to come in and speak to our students and alumni here at WGU, making sure you're asking the questions like, hey, what are some things that you did to leverage your degree here at WGU to get you to that point? What are some skills that maybe you obtained? How did you obtain them over the course of your career that you feel like is important in your current role that you're in? So making sure that you're asking those types of questions that are career driven, but picking the brain of individuals. Like, I can't stress that enough. Kristen had brought up Ask a Grad. Hey, there's an opportunity where you can pose these types of questions and then you'll get different input. And I think you might be surprised on who is coming in and sharing that. If you're in one of our IT programs, maybe it is an individual that works in healthcare, but they're in whatever that set IT role is, and they're shedding light there. So that might give you an idea of what type of companies that have hired WGU grads in the past. So just something to think about as you go through here. And then the last thing that we wanted to touch on, which will have a few different links. I know Kristen has already shared some of those links, but our WGU career site is a great tool. There's resources on there that you can access 24/7, 365. So certainly making sure that you're going through. So an example of one of those, I had mentioned a tool in your toolbox. Utilizing Handshake, we certainly want you to do that. If you're not finding the types of opportunities, let's say in Handshake, go to a different job board. So our career site has some different job boards that you can take a look at in search for different opportunities. Scheduling an appointment with a career advisor. As you create your resume or your LinkedIn, you might take a look at it and say, wow, this is excellent. I knocked this out of the park. Maybe you ran it through AI and it gave you your resume. But getting a second set of eyes on that and getting an individual's professional recommendations is something that I would encourage you to do. So scheduling an appointment with a career advisor, and maybe that is to go over your resume. Maybe it is to just go through the job search process. It is a multi-layered step process where they can kind of walk you through, hey, here are the expectations you should have. And I would say, like, if you've been looking for a job for some time and you've applied, and we've heard this before, I've applied for 1,000 jobs and I haven't heard back, or I've only heard from a handful. Taking a step back and analyzing and saying, why is that? And maybe it's, meeting with a career advisor to kind of pick their brain to see if they have recommendations. Maybe there's something that jumps out to them that you're just not seeing, and that's just an added bonus here, and it's free. If you try to do this outside of WGU and get a career, meet with somebody with a similar type of skill set, you're paying quite a bit of money for that. So free is something that we certainly promote, and I would certainly recommend taking advantage of that service. And then both Kristen and myself are former career advisors, so we certainly will advocate for utilizing the career advising team. Getting into utilizing your LinkedIn connections. Don't be afraid to just connect with somebody. If it's somebody that is in a position, like I said, that you might be interested in, connect with them. Send them a quick message. Give them a brief introduction and why why you've reached out to connect with them. And then once they accept that request, like, hey, maybe send them a follow-up and see if you can set up a call and pick their brain. And that's something I would say, again, if you're unsure about that and, maybe not super comfortable, set a goal for yourself. Hey, over the next month, I'm going to make 3 new connections. Or maybe you go to an in-person event with WGU and you want to, you set a goal. By the end of the evening, I'm going to connect with 3 people. And maybe that's individuals that have nothing to do with your degree, but, they might have connections that they can recommend you to. So setting those small goals for yourself, can really make a difference as you move forward. And then, taking a look at our past sessions. So through our CPD YouTube channel, there's opportunity there where you can go back and take a look at employers that we've hosted that have come in to actively recruit from WGU, industry professionals that have come in and given insight on specific career topics. Our career advising team are doing workshops monthly on a variety of different career-driven topics. So if you want to get a sense of, what do some of these sessions look like? What can I ultimately expect? That's an opportunity there where you can go back and watch some of those sessions. So and then the last thing I just wanted to touch on, and I know Kristen has been sending some of the links over, but just on our career page, I just wanted to touch on, depending on the school, but, some upcoming events that we have. So right now we have our Career Quest. It lays out all of the different sessions that we're hosting. So an opportunity there, but wanted to just touch on, hey, if you belong to a specific school, so let's say you are from, in one of our degree programs with School of Technology, you can select that. You can see upcoming events there. And as you go through, if you're not sure what to include with your resume, here's, some quick templates, professional development opportunities, different job boards that you could potentially look for opportunities. So just making sure that you are utilizing all of these resources that we have, and then you'll also see here some relevant jobs that might be available. So that concludes all of the topics that we were going to cover. I would love to open it up if anybody did have questions. Would love to answer some of those questions. I haven't been able to see the chat, so if anybody does have any questions.
No questions in the chat so far. I am going to allow everyone to unmute themselves. If you would prefer to come off mute, feel free. You can also just type your questions into the chat and I will read those aloud. RJ, can you keep scrolling down? Oh, you
Oh,
stopped sharing. That's fine.
I will share again. Yes.
I was just thinking it might be helpful for people to see because there's a lot of other things on those school pages too. So like if you keep scrolling down, there are articles. Those are curated by our career advisors. Some of them are pulled in from other sources, like you see the Muse or Exponent, but some of them are written by our career advising team. So there's lots of different ways that you can get some extra information that is industry specific there. I think further down, yeah, we've got some of our videos from past sessions that we've hosted, along with links to lots of our career resources. So like Ask a Grad, like we talked about, those IT job boards, your resume templates, student orgs that you might want to get involved with. We're trying to centralize everything by school so that when you go to that school page, you can find exactly what it is that you're looking for there.
Give people a second if you are coming up with some different questions. Just a reminder, the session is being recorded, so if you did want to go through and rewatch anything that we covered, certainly feel free to do so, and certainly take advantage of that. If you have questions on anything, certainly feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to connect and see if we can help you any way we can, but I would certainly recommend, hey, like the career advising team, taking advantage of those services. Can't stress that enough.
Absolutely. And got some people in the chat. Somebody mentioned they're tuning in from work, which like we understand. No worries. Um, Somebody else said they're still in their first term, so they're not actively job seeking yet, but just wanted to see what the event was about. I think that it's great that you're in your first term and you're joining events like this. If you see any employer sessions that have an employer who you're interested in, or anything like that, like just about any topic that you're like, I'm just a little curious about this, feel free to register. Unless it's a drop-in or the employer doesn't let us, you'll get a copy of the recording even if you can't make it. So that's a great way for you to just get some extra insights and hear from people who are in the field or who maybe know a little bit more about the topic than you do, just to kind of get some different perspectives. So highly, highly recommend, no matter where you are in your WGU journey, finding those events that do kind of speak to you and registering.
And then just on top of that, never too early to start to build out that professional network. So it's connecting with your peers, connecting with WGU alumni, for any of the employers that do come in and provide sessions, if they're open to it, connecting with them. When you're in those sessions live, sharing your LinkedIn to connect with others that are in those sessions, that's something that we usually try to encourage. there's certainly an interest level from everybody because you registered for the same session. So there might be some similar interests there where, hey, you connect with somebody, you never know. Sometime down the line, they might have an opportunity that they're sharing with their network that really is something that you're looking for. So take advantage of those sessions and really trying to build out that network.
Yeah. One
Awesome.
other thing I will also mention, just because I put it in the chat, just a reminder that the career advising services that you have access to as a student, you actually have free access to for life. So whether it's resume reviews or job search coaching or interview prep, whatever it is that you might want some extra support with, even after you've graduated, you still have free access to our team, which is not something that very many universities offer. Um, Speaking as somebody who's worked at a lot of universities, this is the first place I've been that actually continues to support their students with free access to career services after graduation. So a really, really great option for you if you are, if you are a grad and you're like, I'm still trying to figure it out or I need help with my next step, take advantage of our career advisors. That is what they are here for.
If no one has any questions, feel free to jump off if you'd like. Chris and I will remain on if anybody did have any questions, but we certainly appreciate you all jumping in today. Hopefully you're able to take something away and apply it as you kind of navigate the job search process. So certainly feel free to reach out, but yeah. Again, session was recorded. We'll send it out if you want to go back and reference anything that was covered.